It's Hump Day, Wednesday, and we're looking at the visible satellite loop, and we still have two systems affecting the U.S. primarily, this swirl in the northeast and this larger one here in the central and south central U.S., which is primarily where the focus now for any severe thunderstorms is going to be. We'll take a look at yesterday's severe weather reports. Now, this is important because we had one tornado report there near Shreveport, southeast of Greenwood, Louisiana, and there was also a tornado debris signature on radar with this. So I emphasize it because this area was part of an enhanced risk for tornado threat tomorrow, and the forecast was underperforming basically yesterday, which is good news, meaning only one tornado in an area that was highlighted to get possibly some more. Then the other tornado report yesterday was completely unrelated to any forecast. This was north of Phoenix around Prescott Valley, Arizona. And so those are the two tornado reports. I didn't get a lot of actual wind speed numbers on the report, but I do have a lot of wind damage reports. Now, this did verify in that enhanced area for severe weather yesterday. We had a lot of squall lines form, high precipitation situations, some rotation on radar, but it didn't really connect to produce a lot of tornadoes. Again, good news. And the severe weather reports, even these hail reports are on the low side, so 1 inch. So the green is 1 to 1.25 are barely in the criteria for a severe weather report, and then the yellow ones are 1.5 to 1.25 or 1.75, and yeah, that's a little bit larger. So let's take a look at the HRRR simulated radar. This is a high-resolution model that's run every hour. I take the 6Z or 1 AM because it goes out a greater distance, basically. So we're just looking for trouble here on the simulated radar. And you can certainly see that the thunderstorms are still quite active in the deep south, spinning around this upper-level low here, and still in the northeast, but the severe weather threat has diminished greatly with that. Here's the Storm Prediction Center forecast. We just have the lowest risk today. This was downgraded from a slight risk that existed down here earlier. Keep in mind the day one forecast, which is what this is updated several times during the day. I only record this once in the morning, so if you're curious about these, I have a link in the description for you can look up the latest. This is, I think the day one is updated in the morning. Now, this is the one you're looking at, and then around noonish, and then later in the afternoon, and then even in the early evening, sometimes for very active severe weather. But notice this kind of extends northward into Tulsa, Oklahoma City, parts of western Arkansas, and certainly hugging the Gulf Coast. This part is in connection with that upper level low. Now, I'm going to show you the tornado forecast. This has been changed. Now, this from overnight is the same. New Orleans over to Pensacola, extreme southern Louisiana. Now, this little pocket is new, including Tulsa, along I-40 from Oklahoma City to Fort Smith. There is a 2% tornado risk. Again, we have cold temperatures aloft with that cold core low that's slowly moving, and we have sunshine that'll come out and destabilize the atmosphere. So that explains that particular risk right there. I live in Springfield, about there. So, yeah, it's getting close, but not quite, but close enough to keep an eye on today. We'll go to Thursday. The severe weather threat shifts east with that slow-moving low. Pretty broad area here, hard to pinpoint anything in particular. Same on Friday, it keeps shifting east. It's taken 5 days for that low to move from New Mexico to start affecting the southeast now, from Columbia down to Jacksonville and back westward over to Tallahassee and even Mobile maybe. So let's take a look. Now, Saturday, I really couldn't find any significant probabilities anywhere. So we'll go to Sunday. Montana and the southeast, according to the Colorado State Learning Machine. And then on Monday, we have a pocket there in eastern Wyoming, which the CSU agrees with. Not really. It actually puts that right up in Montana. But these are very low probabilities, 5%. So I expect these to shift around quite a bit. Southeast again. If you go back and forth here to Tuesday, same pocket there in Wyoming, stretching into the plains a little more activity centered around, let's say, just to the north and northwest of Nashville, that area. Again, at least the probability are ticking up for a little more confidence on that, 15%. Still not enough for the SPC to pull the trigger on that. And if you look at this Tuesday product from CSU, they actually put the SPC day 7 forecast there. So nothing so far. Not surprising, though, because these are barely at severe threshold limits here. But it just kind of show you the pattern. And then it gets a little more interesting on Wednesday, a more widespread 15% risk areas. I'd say on Wednesday, if the SPC were to pull the trigger on one of their 15% at least forecasts, it would be that day. And then very broad again on the CSU model all over the place. Great Plains, due eastward to the Atlantic coast. Here's the supercell composite, May 7th through the 13th. It reflects these outlook parameters down in the Florida area and Texas, and some of that, an inkling of what's going on there with some of those forecast models out there in the high plains. And then certainly the emphasis on the 14th through the 20th is very real. This hasn't changed much since yesterday's outlook. Now, this next week, 21st, 27th, has shrunk a little bit. Not as far north or as intense. Again, just to review, supercells are basically what they sound like. Supercell, they're a thunderstorm cell which has characteristics which make it last a long time, where the updraft is not competing with the downdraft, and it's basically just a rough approximation of where there is good overall shear in the atmosphere, not necessarily low-level shear, but overall shear and instability, basically. I'm not sure if this actually inputs the cap. It certainly does not, I don't think, input low-level wind shear that's important for tornadoes. Not surprising, because especially the second one, the low-level wind shear, is not knowable this far out. Just isn't even worth talking about. Anyway, so let's go ahead and just take a look at those models real quick. Here's the ensemble for the European model. It shows a long and short wave pattern, although this entire area is actually a long wave, and there are tiny short waves in that. But the speed maximums are the ones we're looking for. So that's entering the plains on the 14th, which is Wednesday. So if there's any unstable air out here, that will be tapped certainly for severe weather. GFS is in agreement on roughly where that short wave is, maybe a little bit. The winds are further southwest. They haven't moved along quite as much as the EPS. Same kind of general trough with smaller troughs in it. And then if we fast forward to Friday of next week, the 16th, the EPS wants to dampen out and move this one short wave way up into Iowa and Missouri, which again is a player. And then there's still a long wave pattern out here. And its counterpart, the GEFS, holds back on this wave, and it's a little stronger on May 16th, Friday. So there might be a little bit more of a signal there for severe weather. It's more into Texas and more into the traditional Great Plains climatology of where you would expect severe weather this time of year. Thanks for watching today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. This is published every day after the morning Storm Prediction Center update. Also, remember to check that site off on day 1 because they update it fairly frequently. If you like this video, please like it. Also, you can subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.